everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we are back with Nicole at Jamboree Mountain Farm. It's really exciting because everyone on YouTube, I got most of my subscribers because they loved you, Nicole, so much. They loved your chickens, they loved your farm and what you do here with your pasture-raised chickens. So can you tell me, I'll add a link down in the description to our previous interview, but can you tell me what's been happening here on your farm? Have you expanded your chickens? What's been happening in the last 6 months?
I feel like there's been lots happening here in the last 6 months. So we've just come out of winter and coming into spring, which is always a really exciting time. But for us over winter, because things slow down a little bit, it enables us to really spend time and focus on things that need doing on the farm, because the grass is not growing as fast as it normally does.
Yeah.
But we have expanded. We have another chicken caravan, which is just a little bit further up there. So we got that chicken caravan about 2 months ago now, and we had a new lot of chickens, 450, arrive 3 weeks ago at 16 weeks, and they're actually already starting to lay.
Wow.
Which is super exciting, because sometimes it takes 4 to 8 weeks for them to start laying.
Yes.
So I think it's just like ideal timing to have new chickens on the farm, coming into spring and having longer days. So yeah, we have a new caravan, but we've also done quite a bit of work on the farm as well. So we had lots of rain, as you would know, and we found it really difficult to access the other side of the farm because of the rain and, driving across the paddocks. So we actually have put an all-weather road across the farm, which we're using now. And we also built a new dam.
Wow.
So the big thing for us, coming into these drier periods is to have as much water as possible. So the new dam has enabled us to have a lot more water to call on when we need it.
Yes, for those dry periods that do come.
Yeah, that's right. And we're just coming out of a dry period at the moment. It hasn't rained here properly for, 6 to 8 weeks really, which is a long time, considering how wet it was last time you came. But we've got rain coming at the end of this week, which will be nice. So we definitely need a top up.
So how many chickens do you now have?
So we have 1,800 chickens.
Wow.
So we've got 4 lots of 450 in each caravan.
Yep.
And the reason why we got the extra caravan was because I actually always needed to move my older chickens on before the new ones came, and I found it really difficult to manage the eggs during that time, because you move on the old chickens and then you lose 300 to 400 eggs a day for about 4 to 8 weeks. And for me to manage that with my customers was difficult. So the 4th caravan is enabling us to rotate the chickens a bit more effectively, so that I can keep the old chickens on before while the new ones are starting to lay in one of the other caravans. So yeah.
Awesome. So I have a question to you about your predator situation.
Yes.
So a lot of farmers that I've visited that have watched your video, they are absolutely astounded that you don't even have maremas protecting your chickens. Can you tell us what's your secret to this?
Well, this electric fencing is one of the main secrets. But the thing is with the electric fencing, and we've learnt this along the way, is making sure that we have quite a high charge going through this fencing. So when we first, set up the farm, we were just using the one energizer, which would power all of the fences.
Yep.
But we now actually have like an individual energizer for each system of chickens.
Awesome.
So, and I'm, checking this fence every day.
Cool.
And we've got a fence tester, and, we're getting like quite a high charge going through. And that is the secret, just making sure that that is always working. After we've had a weather event like a storm, a lot of the time like a tree can come down and, stuff that electric charge up. So it's just, being really across it. When, like our house is just up there, so when the chickens are on this side of the farm, closer to the house, like the predators actually, they're not as much of a threat. But on the other side of the farm, I've actually got 900 chickens over there, and you know, the eagles and the hawks
Yeah.
are definitely a big issue for us. What I do over the other side of the farm is that I put lots of obstacles in their cell. So I've got tread-ins, and you know, I've got some silver bowls which reflect and you know, let off different light and things like that. So I'm always putting different obstacles down, which does deter eagles and hawks landing. So that's my big thing. And sometimes, like, I'll put red pots, or you know, our chicken crates which are bright orange, and you know, from above. That does deter them.
So that they don't like red.
No,
orange
well,
colour?
it's just something different. So they're hesitant to land.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of, you know, changing things up. With the foxes, we've got heaps of foxes here, but because the charge in this fence is actually so strong, they, you know, we haven't had an issue, touch wood, with foxes for quite some time.
Cool. So can you tell me, what is the charge on this thing?
Well, look, there's about like a 6 kilovolt charge going through there.
Okay, wow.
So when we first started and we were using the one energizer, it was about, you know, 0.9 to 1.5, 1.8. And that just wasn't enough to really give them, you know, a big shock.
Yeah. To stay away.
Yeah, and it's normally the same foxes that are around. So once they know, they'll test it all the time, but once they do know, they will generally, you know, leave it alone.
Okay.
Yeah, we're lucky. We've got some neighbours that also do fox control as well, because they, you know, when they're lambing, the foxes, you know, can be quite brutal with the lambs. So we're lucky that, yeah, that they do some fox control too. But yeah, no, I know people get amazed that we don't have the dogs, and I have thought about it at times, but as long as we're managing it really well, tends to not be too much of an issue.
Terrific. Normally in today's society, we are conditioned to worm. We are conditioned to worm our dogs, our sheep, our animals, even humans, chickens. It's become like an accepted practice in today's society, and it's hard to let go of this mentality, because everyone is doing it, so it must be right?
Yeah, that's right.
But you don't do it.
No, we don't.
So can you tell me about it? Because I've also visited another farm, an organic farm, and they don't do it either. So can you talk about your experiences, and if you've gotten any flack from customers? Are they worried about getting worms?
No, like, do you know what? It hasn't really been too big an issue for us, and I've never had customers question me on it.
Yeah.
There's actually some customers that would prefer us not to use any products like that. You know, like even with the cattle, like drenching and, you know, all of those things. So, you know, they're looking for a natural, you know, product where we're not interfering with you know, things like worming. And look, I feel that, you know, we've got really healthy chickens. Like, I guess the biggest thing is that we're always moving the chickens around. So they're always on fresh pasture, fresh soil. You know, they've got fresh water that's coming from our spring-fed dam. You know, we're putting apple cider vinegar in there. We're putting garlic cloves in there. We're actually now supplement feeding them with a fly larvae, which is incredible. It's got really high protein, really high fats. And we have seen a really big increase in the lay rate from using that, and also the egg shell quality. And it seems to be giving them something in their diet that they were missing just from the normal feed that we were giving them. But I guess the way that we're farming, you know, regeneratively and biodynamically, we're moving them all the time. And, you know, I guess because of that system, you know, I don't feel that we need to interfere.
So you move your pastures, you move your chicken pens how often?
Well, look, we move these, we move the chicken pens like about every 7 days. So what we do is we move that caravan within, you know, around within the chicken pen, and then what we'll do is then move that over to the other side of the road. So we're moving them all the time. This is quite a big enclosure that we've got here. Like the newer chickens over there, like I've got them set up in a smaller, longer enclosure, and you know, I'm moving that every 5 days at the moment. So it just, yeah, but it's a huge part of our job, but it has huge benefits, and I believe that's, why there is a big difference, with the taste of our eggs, with the colour of the yolk, because they are getting that freshness in their diet. Because they probably forage about 25% and of the pasture, and then the rest would be supplement feeding,
Right.
which is in the feeders.
So a worm's life cycle, is that like 20 days or so? When you move your pastures,
Yes.
they get less exposure to worms.
Yeah.
So they're healthy, if
Yeah.
they're eating good, they're drinking well,
Yeah.
they should be able to handle things,
Yeah,
right?
they should be able to. Yeah, that's right. These animals have all been able to survive in nature, for many years. So I guess, yeah, that as long as you're managing them and they do have clean, fresh water, and, I feel like the apple cider vinegar and
Yes.
the garlic as well, does help, with their overall health, and they're getting really good feed as well.
Yes.
So we use a really good layer mix, and then this new protein that we're using as well. I think, all of that plays a huge part. Their diet, like it does with us, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bad food,
Yeah.
sick person, just with chickens. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
So I was very impressed with your eggs. They were
Yeah.
so clean, and you keep
Yes.
the bloom on them.
Yes.
And it's just amazing. Can you maybe show us your eggs, and
Yeah.
how do you keep them so clean?
Yeah,
Can you
I can.
show and tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. I have collected the eggs today.
Okay.
So we could go up to the new caravan, because there
Yes.
are some eggs in there that I actually rolled in and haven't taken into the shed.
Sure.
But yeah, it comes down to the actual chicken caravan system, and that plays a huge role in keeping the eggs clean. And there's really minimal. We still have to check every egg to make sure that there's no cracks, and we wipe them down with just a dry cloth. So we're not washing the eggs at all, like some bigger farms have to. But I think that plays a huge part in keeping that freshness of the egg as
Definitely.
well. Yes, and we're lucky that, they are nice and clean. When we first set up this farm, we had old caravans that we fitted out ourselves, and the biggest thing was getting dirty eggs, and so we were spending a lot of time cleaning the eggs, and it was really time consuming. So we then trialed one chicken caravan and could just see how differently it worked. And just making it so much easier, for me as the farmer, because it's really just me. My husband, has another job Monday through to Friday, so it's just myself collecting the eggs, processing the eggs, packing the eggs, delivering the eggs. So in terms of making things easy, that's a really important part for me. But maybe we can walk up to the new chickens and I can show you some of their smaller eggs, which are pristine.
Let's do it.
Okay, because the chickens are new on the farm and they're younger, 19 weeks, they're not quite as familiar with us. So they're a little bit more flighty and a little bit more jumpy, and they're not coming and running up to you as much as the older chickens do. But I'll take you into the chicken caravan. So this is our new caravan. So it's all nice and shiny and brand new. I wish all of them were like this.
You go in afterwards.
So these chickens have just started laying. So there's only a few eggs here that I collected this morning, but once they start laying in full swing, I'll get about 400 eggs a day from these chickens. It's about 420. So it's about an 85-90% lay rate when they first start laying. But as you can see, they are incredibly clean. And there's one other.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
very
see,
flighty.
they're really flighty. So they're still getting to learn the ropes. But there's one other egg, and as you can see, yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really nice and clean. So I'll show you inside the caravan where the nesting boxes are. So how it all works is that at night the chickens roost on these bars, and their manure then goes through onto the ground, which is, you know, what we're doing is
Yes.
we're fertilising our soil naturally. But the reason why we're moving the caravan all the time as well is because we don't want too much of the chicken's nutrient load in one spot. So we're evenly spreading that across our farm. But the reason why the eggs are so clean is because Chicken Caravan have an incredible nesting box system. And what happens is in the morning, the nesting box will open, and we open the nesting boxes at about 5 a.m. And then the chickens hop up, you know, from their roosting bars into the nesting box, and they'll lay their egg. But the way it's designed is that their egg will then roll down onto the conveyor belt so that the eggs are then ready for when I come to collect them. But the most important thing with this is at 5 o'clock at night, this metal plate pushes out. So it means that these nesting boxes are blocked off so that the chickens can't roost in there at night. And that plays a really important role in keeping the nesting box area clean.
Yes.
And that's why the eggs really come out like that. Because I guess chickens naturally have that tendency to roost, you know, in their nesting box because it's nice and warm and cozy.
Yeah. But then they poop on,
Yeah,
on
that's
the area,
right.
and then the eggs get dirty. But this is a great system.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because they're not overcrowded, you know, this chicken caravan is designed for 450 chickens.
Yep.
So there's ample space for laying, and yeah, they can all go in and lay their egg, and it rolls down. And it's just about managing that, and then also collecting the eggs. I collect the eggs at the same time most days. You know, just to make sure that, you know, that conveyor belt's not getting loaded up with too many eggs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What do you have planned for the next 6 to 12 months for your farm?
Well, look, the next 6 to 12 months, so the idea of getting the 4th caravan was for me to really work on the way that I manage our supply and our flow of eggs. And I have always really struggled with keeping my supply of eggs, you know, quite constant. Like I was finding, you know, I'd have lots of eggs and then it would drop because I was moving on new chickens. So I really looked at the business and I was like, I need to make this work, you know, effectively for us, for cash flow, but also to keep my customers happy. So I'm really working on, you know, rotating the chickens, you know, most effectively, and also getting the most out of the chicken as well. So we're using a new feed, as I was mentioned before, GoTerra, and they're quite an incredible company doing some amazing things. You know, obviously food waste is a huge issue worldwide, and what GoTerra are doing, they're actually using black soldier flies to eat food waste, organic food waste from supermarkets, from restaurants, and these black soldier flies, they eat, you know, all of that waste, and then they actually, you know, freeze dry the soldier flies, and they turn them, it's like a dry feed, which is really nutrient dense. So the idea of that is that that's been able to increase my lay rate by about 8 to 10%, which is quite, you know, substantial across the farm. And that feed, because it's high, really high in protein, 48%, and it's really high in fat, you know, which is keeping them healthier, especially during the winter months. I've seen that my eggshells are also a lot browner, a lot stronger as well in my older chickens, because naturally what happens with chickens is that, you know, over the first 12 months they start laying eggs and they're really beautiful and brown, and, you know, the shells are really thick. But then gradually, as they get older, the shells decline, you know, which naturally happens as well. But this feed is enabling them to keep a better shell quality. So the big focus for me is really maximising, you know, the animals on this farm and getting the most out of them whilst keeping them happy, and you know, doing their magic to our soil as well. But yeah, I guess that's the biggest thing. And then also we're focusing a lot more on our cattle as well. You know, we had drought and we had floods, and we had to, you know, make a lot of improvements on the farm to be able to manage the cattle. We have new cattle yards just down near our silo, so that we can actually easily bring cattle on and off. But we're looking at, breeding again, which we've started. So this is the first time that we've had calves in about 4 years.
Wow.
And the reason why we couldn't do that before was because of all of those weather conditions, and that we couldn't get a bull onto the farm because our cattle yards, had been washed away. We're getting our breeding back on schedule, and then we will look at doing our, we do beef boxes, and we also supply beef to Feather and Bone.
Oh, cool.
So in, a couple of years we'll be able to go back to doing that. But obviously this takes quite some time as well because it's slow grown beef. So we've just had calves, and we wouldn't sell them to Feather and Bone for another 3 years.
Right. How many cattle do you
Yeah,
have?
so we've got 11 breeding cows on the farm, which we purchased off another regenerative farmer about 2 years ago. And yeah, we've got 7 calves on the ground, and we're hoping that there's a couple more to come.
Awesome.
So slowly but surely, it seems, the calves have been spread out quite a bit. And that was just because the bull was taking his time and enjoying the surrounds of the farm, I think.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing, is really just managing the farm effectively and, getting the most out of what we've got on here whilst looking after the pasture and soil always.
And so your pastures, with each year you do this, it must be getting better. Are you seeing
definitely
improvements?
Yeah, definitely huge improvements. So for us, we can see that by how much we're actually feeding our cows, and even the chickens as well, because normally over winter the chickens will consume more of the other feed, and we have to buy in silage for the cows. But it's really been minimal in terms of what we've had to supplement feed the cows with in terms of extra pasture. And my feed hasn't changed in terms of, like, the chickens haven't actually been eating more of the their supplement feed. So, and that's just we have had a lot of rain, and so we had a really great start to winter. We came into winter with really strong pasture, and we will also then, we should go in, well, we're in spring now. If we just get a little bit more rain, things will be bouncing.
Wow. So regen is the way to go, people.
Yeah.
And your farm really shows it. So is there anything you would like to add about your farm, about your chickens, your cattle, anything?
Well, look, we would love to be able to welcome people to our farm and really see how the farm works. And, I guess it's something we take for granted, right? And, like 12 years ago when we were living in Sydney, my husband and I were always trying to go and, visit a farm and, do a farm stay, right? And we would go to farms and we'd get there and we'd be so underwhelmed because, you'd walk into the chicken pen to collect eggs for breakfast and there were actually no eggs because they had no chickens.
Right.
And then you'd walk around their paddocks and, looking for cows, and we just found it really difficult to find an proper farm stay. So our next step, that we're looking at is providing farm stay accommodation. So maybe like a tiny home, or even, a glamping tent done nicely where you can actually bring, your family to the farm, and we would then, take you around to see how it all works. So I think that would be it's something we've always wanted to do and envisage when we bought the farm, but it's taken us 12 years really to, set it up, properly and be confident and comfortable, to do that.
That's a lovely idea. I definitely think people will like that. Before we sign off to the audience, please tell us again, where can we buy your eggs, where can we buy your beef, and where can we find you on social media?
Okay, well, so we're in Robertson, Southern Highlands, which is 2 hours out of Sydney, and I supply eggs along the south coast. So with Jamberoo, Kiama Downs, Gerringong, Berry, at IGA stores. And we also supply across the Southern Highlands too. You'll always find our eggs in Robertson at the Friendly Grocer. There's Moonacres Kitchen as well. And we also supply to Major's Butcher, which is in Mossvale and Bowral. And there's a handful of other hotels that are using our eggs, like restaurants. So you can go and, you can go and find our eggs at quite a few places. But I do update regularly on my social media where our eggs are available as well. We have got lots of requests for Sydney, but I probably need another couple of thousand chickens. So I might need some workers to be able to do that. But yeah, social media, I'm really transparent with everything on our Jamboree Mountain Farm Facebook and Instagram. And I really just try and, share everything we're doing here, to be able to show our customers, exactly how the farm is running. And I find that that's the only marketing tool that I really need. And I can't actually keep up with supply, which is a good thing.
Yeah, that's great.
And when we have beef eventually, through Feather and Bone up in Sydney, they're an incredible butcher, using amazing, suppliers, across Australia, and they do a great job. So they're really trusted, and we really enjoy working with them when we have beef.
Yes. Well, thank you again, Nicole, for this interview, the second interview. This is a great interview.
Thank you so much for coming again. It's good to have you both here on the farm.
Yep.
And to hear what you're doing as well.
Oh, sweet. So again, thank you, and thank you to everyone watching on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and check out Nicole at Jamboree Mountain Farm.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.